there, fans. This is Braden Norton-Spingola again, and I'm Kyle in the upcoming Hayden Newman horror film, Reunion from Hell. Last week, I sat down with Kathy Podwell. If you missed that interview, you can watch it on our official YouTube channel. This week, I'm excited to share my next one-on-one. Last night, I got to sit down with Hayden Newman, our writer, director, and co-star, to learn more about her and Reunion from Hell. Hayden was raised in Valley, Alabama, and has been acting and directing since she was 15. Her first lead was in the community theater in the part of the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz. Hayden was the exact same age that Judy Garland was when she made the movie in 1939. Hayden went on to do several shows and also direct. Hayden's first adult role was in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. She's been in over 65 plays and directed over 30, including Grease, Wait Until Dark, and My Fair Lady. In 2009, Hayden released the memoir entitled Out of Darkness, a true story of survival and acceptance. It received great reviews. Hayden says, it tells the story of my struggle with bipolar disorder, PTSD, depression, and how I learned to accept the person I am. Acting has always come naturally to me. From an early age, I could watch a movie a couple of times or hear a song and I would know every word. I have loved horror films since I was 3 years old, and that love came from seeing Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. This is my first leap into film, but for me, it is a very important leap. Guys, I hope you enjoy my one-on-one with Hayden Newman. It's been a long time since you and I have seen each other. It was probably, 10 years ago at an audition. It looks like you've been up to a lot since then. So how are you surviving the pandemic, and how has it affected your life?
Pretty well. I mean, staying in, trying to stay safe, when you do have to go out, wearing the mask, taking the precautions, really hasn't affected my life so much. I mean, I've been so busy with pre-production on the film that I'm able to do it from home, so that's a great plus.
I think that's me too, because, I've been working from home for like 2.5 years, so wasn't a huge adjustment when it came time to, to adjust everything. So, is there anything you miss? Like, what do you miss going out and doing that you can't do right now?
I would say I miss the most going, out to dinner or going to the movie theater or, little stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Especially going to see a movie. I think that's the number one thing. Just going to sit down in a movie theater and see a movie. So your first lead was in the show The Wizard of Oz as the Scarecrow. Now, of course, everyone knows the movie. Not everyone has seen the show. The show is just as good. Do you feel like that is a defining show in your life personally?
Yes, it was a defining show. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I wasn't sure about auditioning for it, and I went in and auditioned, and I auditioned with a girl named Katie Lanier who ended up playing Dorothy, and I didn't know. I felt good about it. Obviously auditioning for the Scarecrow, it's such a famous role, and I didn't want to do the same thing that Ray Bolger did in the film. So, I added a little bit in the audition to what I would want to portray the Scarecrow as. And then I got the call back, and me and Katie auditioned together again. And about 3 days later, I got the call that I had gotten the part. And I kind of lost it. I couldn't believe I got the part. And I was I was 15 years old, and this is my first lead. I was fixing to be in the play adaptation of my favorite movie of all time. And I was 15 when I got the part. And by the time we actually put on the production, I was 16, which was the same age Judy Garland was when she filmed the movie. So it was very much a defining moment. It was my first lead. It was exciting, and as well as I do, in theater, you really become a family through the rehearsal process, and it was a 90-day rehearsal process. It was the biggest show our community theater had ever put on at that time. There was a cast of total of 90 people, I want to say.
Wow.
So it was exciting. It was a very exciting time for me. Um, I can tell you, after the show was over, I did not want to watch the movie for an entire year afterwards, because you know as well as I do, when you get into a part, it's, especially one like The Wizard of Oz, it's, and hearing those songs over and over and over again through the rehearsal process, you don't want to have anything to do with it once you're done for a little while.
Yes, for sure. You know, speaking, you talked about this first just now, and I mentioned this in my interview with Kathy Powell last week about how you know, theater is like this big family, and that's one thing that, you know, I'll say again, I like about uh, indie film is that it seems like there's this sense of community that you find in theater. Like theater is like a big sense of family, and like everybody, it's not just a job. So you know, I like that you said that there's nothing like, from the most professional show to like the most amateur stage show I've ever done. It doesn't matter how big or how small. You know, it's like everybody's like a big family.
Yes,
So
everybody is. I mean, everybody pitches in together, and you know, doing a live show it's nerve-wracking, as you know, and anything can go wrong. Theatrically trained, we're trained to keep going. We may know it went wrong in the production, but the audience doesn't. And you know, I've had that happen a couple of times. I had it happen in Oz one night. The girl who played, or the woman who played Annie M in the beginning of the show, I'm sure you remember the part in the movie where she comes out and offers them cookies or bread at the very beginning. Well, she was walking back into the house and she fell, and the cookies got smashed all over the stage. Well, nobody bothered to clean it up. We just kept going on, and it was the part in the show where Dorothy actually meets the Scarecrow the first time, and we're fixing to start. You know, we're off to see the wizard, and her ruby slipper hit one of those cookies, and she went up. And just thinking quickly, I threw my arms out and caught her, and we kept going like that was supposed to be there. So, you know, anything can go wrong in a live show, and that's, you know, I tell anybody, if you can do a live show, you can do anything.
oh yeah, totally agree. People don't realize how hard live theater is because, you know, like film has its own challenges, obviously, but you know, at least with film, in most cases, unless it's a special circumstance, you know, if something goes wrong, you can just shoot it again. It's no big deal, you know. But like with theater, you have one shot to get it right. You know, you have whether it
Exactly.
be 100 people, or you know, 800 people watching you. Like that's it. Like you have one shot to get it right. So you have to be in the moment. There, you know, are you know, because I guess out of the two, I would have to say that theater is definitely harder in my experience than film projects. Just
Oh yeah.
because
See,
you know it's like you're in the moment. People don't who haven't done theater don't realize it. It just seems, I guess, easier to some people, but it's definitely challenging, but it's also rewarding.
it is. It's very rewarding when that, you know, that at the end of the show, when that, how can I explain it? That applause crashes up on the stage. It's just, it's an unreal feeling. It really is. And you know, all those long hours, 3 o'clock in the morning, dress rehearsals, rehearsing to 3 o'clock in the morning. It's all worth it in that moment. Um,
Yeah.
so, you know, like you said, my background is in theater. That's where me and you met, actually, like you said, at an audition.
That's right. So a minute ago, you talked about Judy Garland. And speaking of Judy Garland, have you seen the movie Judy that stars Renee Zellweger as Judy Garland?
I have seen it. Yes, yes.
So she won so many awards for that. Or like she won an Academy Award, a Golden Globe, and a SAG Award. It got mixed reviews from a lot of people, but I felt like that was a really transformative role for her, and I think she's one of my favorite actresses. Who is your favorite actress or two? I know like it's hard to pick one sometimes.
Well, I agree with you on Renee Zellweger in that movie. She was phenomenal. I really at times forgot, being a Judy Garland fan, I forgot that it was Renee because of Judy in that time period. So she deserved every reward she got for that movie. As far as my favorite actresses, I would have to say, of course, one of them is Jamie Lee Curtis. Um, and,
Icon,
you
the
know,
icon.
yes, she is an icon. And, you know, my second favorite actress, honestly, would be Nev Campbell.
Okay.
And I actually got a chance to meet Nev Campbell on the convention circuit last year, and let me tell you, she is the most down to earth, sweetest person. You wouldn't even believe she's an actress. She does not have any kind of snobbish attitude or anything like that. She's just a sweet, sweet woman.
I know a couple of people who have met her, through conventions, and they have all said the same thing. This, like my dream to meet. I would love to meet Jennifer Love Hewitt. I would love to meet her. I think that she is just awesome.
Well, I agree. Hopefully, being a '90s kid, I grew up with Party of Five, and of course, it had Nev and Jennifer Love Hewitt on it. So
Yeah, of
yeah, it would
course.
be
Yeah.
awesome. It would be awesome if Jennifer ever came onto the convention circuit.
Yeah. She's starring in one of our favorite TV shows now, 911. She plays a 911 operator. She's so good.
Yeah, I've seen the
So,
commercials.
oh, it's good. You're missing out. It has stars Angela Bassett also. It's a great show. So speaking of transformative, you were in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is of course an iconic. The film version is iconic for the LGBTQ plus communities. Were you a fan of the movie? I feel like I know the answer to this, but were you a fan of the movie or show before you had the chance to be in the production?
I was a huge fan of the movie, and the way that all came about was, you know, the town I'm from, which is Valley, Alabama, a small little town. I'm about 20 minutes from Auburn, where Auburn University is. And Auburn University was putting on that show, and it was the first time they ever did an open call outside of the college. And I found out about it, and I was iffy at first. I was like, do I want to do this? Because this was going to be my break from the family friendly shows, the typecasting, and a friend of mine was like, if you don't go and audition for this, you're going to regret it. So I went in and I auditioned, and it was a surreal audition. You had to, you know, reenact some scenes. It was a very different audition from what I was used to. I mean, people actually came to the audition dressed in corsets and heels and panties and that Rocky
I
Horror
have, I
Picture
have no
Show
doubts.
wore.
Yeah.
So it was a very different experience for me auditioning, and that was another one. I felt good about it, but there were some really good people that I mean, really good people, and the way they let everybody know who had been casted in that show was through email. So I got the email that I had been casted, and it was kind of unreal. I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to do the Rocky Horror Picture Show." But the Rocky Horror Picture Show was the funny thing about that show. It was the hardest show I have ever done, and what I mean by that is we did it with the movie playing in the background.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay.
So we had to learn every single move and, everything they did in that film. And when we first started rehearsing, the first day the cast all got together, met for the first time. Our director was like, y'all all have to get comfortable with each other because, of course, by the end of the show, most of the cast is half naked. So he made everybody give each other a lap dance, and I was like, wow. Like, I've never experienced that before. So, yeah, we auditioned or we started rehearsing with the way you would regularly watch a movie. So we could start learning the way they, moved and everything. And then they flipped the screen on us. So the screen would be facing the audience, and we would be facing the audience in the direction they were in the film. That was very hard, learning every single, dance move and, you know, how they exactly made a movement in the film. But that was another show. At the end of it, it was very rewarding because of that in that aspect. I mean, this Rocky Horror Picture Show is classic. We sold out every night, and of course, um, in Rocky Horror fashion, we gave the audience party favors, and being on stage and getting stuff thrown at you is a different
Yes.
experience. It's very much a
Definitely.
different experience, but it's fun. I mean, we had a blast with that show. Um, I learned quickly during that show that I could run in heels. So that was interesting. Um, but yeah,
How sore were your feet though every night?
that, well, by the time we got to the show, I had really gotten used to the rehearsals. Um, they were sore. you know,
Yeah.
Having to learn so much and having to do it in the heels and the fishnets and the garters and everything that show's about. But it was a blast. I would put it up there as one of the most memorable shows I've ever done with The Wizard of Oz.
It seems like it's definitely on my bucket list to do. It's one of those shows I haven't gotten to do. So I wanted to talk about your book that was published last year that I have not gotten to read yet. It's called Out of Darkness: A True Story of Survival and Acceptance. What led you to want to write about this, about your life in this book?
Well, what actually led me to it kind of started out as therapy. And as it progressed, I thought I have survived everything that I have in my life. Maybe you ask yourself, why have you survived what you've survived? And I came to the conclusion I survived everything that I had to be able to tell my story and to help others that may be in that situation, to give them hope that there is light at what is a very dark tunnel. There's light at the end of that tunnel. You just got to keep holding on.
I like that. I need to read I need to read it when I get the chance. One thing that you and I share is our struggle with mental illness, like PTSD, bipolar disorder, and depression. How do you think that we as a country, or even just individuals, can do better to support those with mental health illnesses?
Well, I think, and my feeling on it is really, you know, people need to take it more seriously. They do not know what it's like on a day-to-day basis to deal with that. And a lot of people think it's a joke, that it really doesn't affect you the way it does. And it, especially our government in a way, and I don't want to get political, but they need to put more emphasis on the mental health, and what they can do to help people with these issues, because they are hard. I mean, dealing with them on a day-to-day basis, it's a struggle, it's a fight. Um, and some days you
Definitely,
just
yeah.
want to throw your hands up and just say, I'm done. But then you find a little bit more of a spark in you to keep fighting. Everybody's uh, story is different, and how it came about for them is different. But I honestly believe that, if you keep fighting as tired as it gets, you can get through it. And, if you have the support of your family and friends, that's even better.
I think this, key thing is like, obviously, I've been seeing a psychiatrist and a psychologist for, um, I guess 14 years now. And, but none of that is any good without like a support system. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't have that. And I think that, as mental health advocates, people, we all should be working hard to in the negative stigma that's attached to mental health, because some people feel, especially like you and I came from rural, communities,
Yes.
and so there's, I don't know, it's almost like sometimes people want to make it seem like you're less of a man if you have mental health problems, or you're less of a person in general. And I just think that we have to do better about that and encourage people to be more honest about their struggles, because help is available, but some people are too embarrassed to to get help, and there's nothing wrong with it. Nobody chooses this, obviously. So I definitely
Oh,
agree with what you're saying there.
yes. I mean, some people don't know how to get help, and they choose to ignore it, like you said, and that's where it leads into self-medicating. I've been down that road, um, and for a long time, I denied it. I didn't. I denied it. And I finally got into therapy, and got on the right meds. And if you keep a check on your meds and you're doing therapy, and it's better.
It's life saving, yeah, for sure. So on to Reunion from Hell. This is a
Yes.
project that I've been working on with you since, was it, I guess, early March or late February. So we've been working on this for several months now, and it's really paying off. What inspired you to write this film?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. I had been thinking about it for a long time, and I had gone to the Days of the Dead convention in Atlanta, and I usually, when I go to the conventions, I don't do the panels. It has to be something very special for me to go into a panel and listen to it. And this particular panel was a panel on independent filmmaking, and it was hosted by Michael Bean. Of He was in the Terminator and Aliens, and he has a long list of films. And his wife Jennifer Blanc Bean, and they started doing indie films, I guess, about 10 years ago. They have an indie film production company, and it's that their basic message was, if you want to do it, do it. The only thing stopping you is yourself. um you know and so I came back, and I sat down and I started writing this script, and it just kind of all came together. I was writing off what I knew. I was writing what I wanted to see as a horror fan, but I was also, taking life experiences at the same time and using those for experience with some of these characters.
Right. Now, I know we can't give away too much to the fans, but speaking of characters, I wanted to talk about your character, which is Riley Connor. Do you feel a connection to your character, and how so?
Oh, definitely. I'll say this much. Riley, when we first meet Riley, is has been through a lot, is very, I don't want to say damaged, but very worn out. That's the best way I can put it. He blames himself for a certain event that has happened in his life, and that kind of has taken control of his life. And um, throughout the movie, we see Riley progress into a taking his control back over of his life. The best way to put it.
So I like your character, and I like that progression, and I like his connection to other characters. I know we can't give anything away, but I'm excited to for the fans to see that and how that all comes together. We hope to start this principal photography in October, and when we're loaded with this great cast and group of people who really care about the project and care about acting as an art. So how excited are you that you get to work with big names like Kathy Powell, who was in Night of the Demons, and Jason Dotley, who started Sword Live series, and now this week we got to add Dennis Penny, a film composer who started as composer for Night of the Demons and so many other movies. How excited are you to get to work with these talented people?
I'm very excited, very excited. I can't say how excited I am. And I approached Kathy first, and I did it through email, and I emailed her the script and told her about the part, and she read the script and got back to me and said, yes, I would love to do it. And that was unreal. Kathy Podwell, who was in Night of the Demons and J.R. Ewing's second wife on Dallas, and she's saying yes to do this film. It was just unreal. And you talked to Kathy last week. Kathy is one of the sweetest, just a doll to talk to. And then I reached out. After that, I reached out to Jason Dotley, and Jason is a Southern boy too. He was originally from Mississippi, and then he lived in Panama City, and then, I don't know if you know it or not, he was married to Dale Shores for several years, and Dale is the creator of Sordid Lives, and he after they separated, he moved back to Panama City, and then he recently moved back to Los Angeles. And I've been following him for years. I reached out to him, and before I even read the script, he was like, yes, just by the description of the film. So that was unreal. And then how Dennis came aboard was one of our fans who was sharing stuff on Facebook shared, the one sheet and the address for our Indiegogo, and Dennis saw that Kathy was in it, and I get a message that Dennis wants to do the film and do the score, and he's volunteering to do it because he was so excited that Kathy was back into film. So it was a little unreal, but we also have that Night of the Demons reunion with them two going on. And I don't know if you know it or not, we have a Rue McClanahan connection in the film with Kathy, because Amelia Kincaid was in Night of the Demons, and she was the niece of Rue McClanahan. But Jason Dotley also worked with Rue on the last television show that Rue ever did, which was Sordid Lives, the series.
That's right. So we have all these connections, and I think that one thing I've noticed on social media, Twitter and Facebook, all the comments and tweets that people are sending in, or the fans are saying that, oh my goodness, I can't wait to see Kathy Kogo, back on the screen. I'm so excited. And then once we announced that Dennis Tenney was from, Night of the Demons, was going to be the composer for the film, then it was like, oh my goodness, they're together, and it was like this. People are really excited to see them back on, to see them to work together, and to see Kathy back on the big screen again.
Yes, I was very honored. I cannot tell you how honored I was that Kathy chose this film to be the film to come back in the genre. And I mean, this is, like she said, her first role in many years. So I was very honored that she chose this project. And like she said, she feels this is going to be a groundbreaking project. Obviously, we can't give too much away, but for Kathy to say something like that, it was just unreal.
And I'll say that, like, as just an actor in the movie, it's been nice seeing the evolution of the script. It's like it's really nice to see where it's gotten to, and I really think that people are going to be happy with the finished product.
I agree. You like you said, you've been with me since this journey began. You were one of the first people I reached out to, so you've seen the different versions of the script and how it's elevated with each script. We're on draft 3 right now, and I'm working on the final draft right now. So, and it's gotten even more in the final draft, more stuff in it that 3 drafts ago I wasn't even thinking about.
Right, and I think that people are going to love it. It's really, it started out great, but it's really come so far, and I'm really happy with the way the characters have evolved. It really makes you care about the characters in a deep way, which, like I said, last week when I spoke to Kathy Codwell, is that it's one thing I think that sets this apart from a lot of horror movies. That it's not just about like this gore, like the gore factor, or the scare factor, which there's plenty of both in this movie, but you really care about the characters. Like, you care about their fates, and you want them to make it. It's not just
Yes.
It's not just killing for the sake of killing. It's, you care about them. So
Exactly. It's not your typical, Friday the 13th slasher, girl bimbos running through the woods, and, you're just there to watch them get killed. And that was what was really important to me when writing the script. I grew up in the era of Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and those were movies where you cared about those characters. And it was really important to me to bring that back. I wanted to have a character arc. I wanted these characters to have a history together. And I wanted it to be, yes, I will say, some of the deaths are very brutal. So if you're there for the deaths, some of them are, you can agree with me, they're very brutal. But it was important for me for people to care about these characters and want them to succeed in the end and survive.
Right. Well, wrapping this up, is there a message you'd like to give to the fans of Reunion from Hell?
I would just like to tell them that thank you for all the support that they've given us so far. I promise this is going to be a different film from what you've seen in a long time. As Kathy said, I really believe I agree with her, the potential to be groundbreaking, but, I'm the director and the writer, so, but also just a big thank you. If it wasn't for them and their support, I don't know where we would be, and, I can't wait for them to see the film, and, I really think they're in for one hell of a ride.
Thanks for taking the time to sit down and listen to my chat with Hayden Newman. My co-stars also include Kathy Podwell, Ronnie Jonah, Stacey Langenkamp, Jeremiah Steinert, and Jason Dodley. Our Indiegogo campaign is live. We dropped some awesome new corporate perks this week too, so please donate because we can't make movie magic without the support of people like you who love and support the performing arts and film industries. You can join our official Facebook group for the link, and you can also find it and more fun on our Twitter and Instagram pages at Reunion from Hell. I'll also post the link to the Indiegogo at the end of this video. I'll be back next week to chat with my other co-star, Jason Dodley, who you remember from Sordid Lives, the series. I have some good questions lined up, and you do not want to miss this chat.